So hello everybody, this is Bhante Joe here, and I'm just here near the Chivarakutti in Sri Lanka, and thought to record a short Awada for the internet. So I thought that maybe could start by leaning forward a little bit, doing some meditation, putting the palms in the lap if might like, and looking about 3 feet in front, and closing our eyes. And can spread thoughts of goodwill to our right hand side. May all beings to my right be happy and at ease. May they put in place the causes necessary to be happy and at ease. And we can make the mind infinite, can make it unbounded, all the way to the ends of the universe and beyond, in every dimension. May all beings to my right be happy and at ease. And we can spread thoughts of goodwill to our right hand side and our left hand side. May all beings to my right and my left be happy and at ease. May they put in place the causes necessary to be happy and at ease. And we can spread thoughts of goodwill to our right hand side, to our left hand side, and in front. May all beings to my right, my left, and in front be happy and at ease. May they put in place the causes necessary to be happy and at ease. And we can spread thoughts of goodwill to our right, to our left, in front, behind. And can spread thoughts of goodwill to our right, to our left, in front, behind, and above. And can spread thoughts of goodwill to our right, our left, in front, behind, above, below, all around in every direction, everywhere. May all beings all around in every direction, everywhere be happy and at ease. May they put in place the qualities necessary to be happy and at ease. And we can make the mind infinite, can make it unbounded, all the way to the ends of the universe and beyond, in every dimension. May all beings all around everywhere be happy and at ease. And you can open your eyes and do a short reflection on the Dhamma. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Buddhaṃ saranang gacchāmi, Dhammāṃ saranang gacchāmi, Sanghaṃ saranang gacchāmi. Tutiyampi Buddhaṃ saranang gacchāmi, Tutiyampi Dhammāṃ saranang gacchāmi, Tutiyampi Sanghaṃ saranang gacchāmi. Tatiyampi Buddhaṃ saranang gacchāmi, Tatiyampi Dhammāṃ saranang gacchāmi, Tatiyampi Sanghaṃ saranang gacchāmi. So hello everybody, and hope you're having a good day wherever it might be in the world. And so just thought to come out here to the Chivarakuti and record a short Awada. So I was taking some monks around the other day around the, there's a kind of lake, of course can't see it from the camera here, but there's a bit of a lake over this way, and you can walk around the lake. It takes about an hour, and then you come back to the monastery. These kind of two venerables were visiting from the northern part of Sri Lanka. They have there's a hermitage there, and one of them is staying in Slovenia and came over. And we walked over this there's this big reservoir. I don't think I put any photos of it on Facebook or on the blog, but the lake is actually this reservoir. It's called a wewa, and it's basically this, you walk over this dam, and then you have to kind of walk a certain distance into the forest. And was saying to them that, this a couple months ago, this, where we're walking right now, is basically you had to kind of like hitch your robes up and, walk through some water to get to the forest there. It's kind of, there'd be fish swimming, little tiny fish swimming in there and these kind of things. And then as we went around the lake, said, eventually in the end, even the lake itself is, I think at some point it kind of dries up during the year and there's kind of nothing there. So at that point, right now the part that was a marsh just looks like a bunch of tall grass, a bunch of grass, doesn't really look like a marsh. Yeah. And so there's this interesting sutta in the canon as well called the King Sutta. And this is a sutta about how all these different monks attained arahantship, and one of them attained arahantship contemplating the the 6 sense bases. Another one attained arahantship contemplating the 5 aggregates. And so all of them ended up attaining arahantship in these different ways. And I think one monk was confused about it, and he asked the Buddha about it, and he gives this simile of the Kingsuka tree, which is like a riddle tree. And sometimes it has this bright foliage, sometimes it has this, it looks like a dead tree. Sometimes it's, I can't remember, it changes every time. It looks a little bit different. The same tree, but the look is different. And similarly with this lake, there's different ways that you can go across it. The way that we went across currently doesn't have any water. Another way may have some more water. But depending on the season, there may or may not be water in the lake. It may or may not be empty. And then rain may come and the lake may fill up. And so maybe in a similar way, people are all in these different spots in their practice. They're all in these different spots, say in the forest around the lake. And they're all kind of coming to the lake at different times. For somebody who comes to the lake at a kind of time when the water is full, then when they walk to the forest, they have to, hitch up the robes and cross. For somebody who comes to the lake when there is no water, they can take a completely different route and walk where there would be water usually. For somebody who comes to the lake from the north side, they kind of look at the lake, it looks different. For somebody who comes to the lake, they're walking along beside it, there's this mountain range behind, and the view again is different. And all of these things have a kind of different view to them, but actually the path that people are crossing, if they want to come to the lake, they want to go across it, they want to go to the forest, what they're all trying to do may be considered the same, or similar anyway. Say they're walking around the lake. There's all these different ways you can walk depending on the season. And in a similar way, for people who are practicing and hoping to get kind of results in their practice, it's not always the case that one can just follow what another person has done, what another person has said. So, there's, if somebody were to say, okay, no problem, when you get to this turn at the bend, just walk across that dry, flat ground and you'll, you'll end up in the forest. You can take a kind of a shortcut and, just walk across there. And if a person kind of comes at a different time in the season, that whole thing would be covered with water. So they can't go that way. It kind of wouldn't be the correct path for them to go. And in a similar way, the Buddha describes a bunch of different types of people. There's people who are what they call faith followers. They have this strong faculty of faith. If they become somebody who's gained a path to stream entry, then they do so through the faith faculty. There's people who are called Dhamma followers. They're people who have this wisdom faculty, this faculty of investigation. If people like that come to attain what they call a magga, then they, which means basically you're guaranteed to be a stream enter in that life, then they do it through this wisdom faculty. So there's this interesting point that gets made in the suttas, which is that, there's all these different characteristics, good qualities and good habits that people need to develop, but we develop them basing ourselves on the strengths that we already have. So if a person is strong in wisdom, then one uses wisdom to develop faith. If a person is strong in faith, one uses faith to develop wisdom. And in doing so, each person kind of creates their own path. Because the way that minds work, they're so complex, they're so different, it's almost like that. People being dropped at different locations around the forest, crossing through the forest, and they can't all take the same path. They can't all go along the same direction. I think there's a monkey there. But in any event, they can't. So this is why if one gets very inspired, hears about the way a certain monk did it, the way a certain monk crossed the lake, got to the forest, the path that a certain monk took, there indeed might be really good pointers there. There indeed might be really good things that one can do to follow that. But if one comes to the lake at a different time, if one comes to the lake at a time when it's full, if one comes to the lake at the season when one can't take that shortcut, then one can't follow the same path that monk followed. One has to find one's own path. And so it's for this reason that the Buddha doesn't really teach like a meditation technique that everybody should do. Doesn't really teach a particular path that's exactly the same in all of its features, I guess you say specific features for everybody. He teaches the Noble Eightfold Path, which is general. So what this means is that everybody has to become their own teacher, in a sense. We use the Buddha's injunctions, but we have to be able to read our own minds. We have to be able to evaluate, where we are in the Buddha's path. We have to be able to evaluate where we are on the road, and we have to be able to make judgments. We have to be able to use our own compass to see what direction we want to head in, and to see what obstacles there are there, so that we can overcome them. And in doing this, we learn to carve our own path. In doing this, we learn to use our own good qualities. In doing this, we learn to develop our own strengths. And basing ourselves on these strengths, we can eliminate our weaknesses. And for people who do this, who do this in their practice, for people who move forward in this way, they might find that when they come to cross a lake, it looks different, a little bit different than what another person said. They might find that it's like this riddle tree. When someone sees it once, it has all these leaves. When another person sees it another time, it's got no leaves, no kind of branches. So it just depends on the characteristics of the season and on the path that one takes when one crosses it. And in the same way, we learn to forge our own path through the characteristics that are in our mind and through the external circumstances that we find. And whatever we do, we learn to move forward in the Buddha's teachings, and we find our way, regardless of what the scenery looks like, regardless of whether the tree has lots of leaves, whether the lake is empty or full. Because although all these things, the different features are different, the Buddha's path leads one way. As he says, the ocean has a single taste, the taste of salt, and the Noble Eightfold Path has one taste, the taste of freedom, in whichever way, whichever path one takes to follow it. Okay, so leave that for reflection, and hope that everybody has a great day, and wishing you all the best till next time.